Take Two crew. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and Pokefans alike. Welcome back to the Team Unconventional Podcast. My name is Matt, your host for the evening, and I am joined with my two co-hosts, JT.
Hey guys, so one thing I really want to clear up, it's been bothering me for 2 weeks. When I broke down my regional Fluttermane, I told y'all that it was speed, and with the booster energy giving speed, it was actually booster energy giving modest and special attack, with it being one faster than Garchomp. Completely different, I have no idea. Been bothering me all week. Thanks for having me back.
Welcome back. And we're joined by His Grace, the Duke, the Mic Man.
Welcome back, my peasants. It's so good of you to be here. So happy to be back with Matt and JT, and I'm ready to talk about the subject this week.
Yeah, subject's going to be about Pokemon Unite, but before we jump into that, I want to go through a couple announcements. The YouTube channel for Surge125, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast and subscribing. They do definitely help out, and as Uncle Mike always says, if you do all the YouTubey things, which is liking, subbing, and commenting, it helps out quite a bit, so please do that before we get into our topic. We do have another thing, but we're going to keep that under the wraps right now, because it's still up in the air. But let's go ahead and start talking about Pokemon Unite. We haven't played that game in forever, right, gentlemen?
Certainly.
Yeah, it was forever.
Go ahead.
I think probably the longest amount of time I'd gone without playing Unite was the last time I played in the January range to when you asked us to play over these last 2 weeks. Unfortunately, they have still not released Generation 3 emblems, but some of the new Pokemon have really made up for it, including the current event, which is Mewtwo.
Mewtwo is pretty interesting. I didn't think that they would actually bring out Mewtwo and then specifically bring out, what was it, Mega X?
Yes, the physical in the mainline games, it's a psychic fighting. In Pokemon Unite, it's a all-rounder that is ranged and more physically based is the way it goes for the best. The kit has a lot of survivability upgrades and movement speed. So if you team it with the really good supporters like Comfy and Blissey, and even some of the aggressive all-rounders that are looking to score, you have an incredibly mobile, strong Pokemon. And combined with some of the emblem combinations that are really popular in the high-level play and the items that they keep releasing more and more of, Mewtwo is really breaking the boundaries of what an all-rounder is typically capable of. But Mike, I believe, is the newest among us, and I think he played about 4 or 5 games in the 2 weeks that we've had since the last episode, so I'm really interested to hear what he thinks about Pokemon Unite as a whole.
Well, I played it a little bit before. I played maybe 4 or 5 games a year ago. It was something that we've been playing Smite, and then they released Unite, and you guys were pretty excited about that, so I hopped on over there and then stopped playing for a while. And then we decided that we were going to make Unite the topic of a podcast. So we decided we would play, and I played, and I played with Charizard first, and he was cool, but if I had to pick my favorite out of the original starters, it's always been Venusaur, so you helped me with the build for Venusaur, and I had a lot more fun with him than I was having with Charizard, so.
Fair.
Hopefully you get to see some of the footage that we had from the previous exploits, because Matt and Mike were just incredible on the top row. And all 3 of the games that we recorded, Mike was dominant, even though he only gets to play with 2 items instead of 3, and he has no items that are level 30.
I got nothing.
But that's fine. You're a brand new player. I think you leveled up twice, maybe in a third time in our standard games that we played.
I think I only actually really leveled up once. I went from 6 to 7, which allowed me that second item. I haven't leveled up since then that I know of. Maybe I have. I'd have to check, but I haven't got to 10 yet, so I can get that third item yet. But
if you want to play later on today, we can, just so that you get that extra item. I know my experiences with Unite have been kind of back and forth. Unite for me was going to be my MOBA game because everyone else was really, really good at either League of Legends or Smite, and I just couldn't grasp onto it no matter what I tried. So I latched on to Unite quite a bit, and then when everyone stopped playing, I just stopped caring about it because the whole point of me playing was to play with my friends. Now, I did have technical difficulties too. I ended up having severe drift with the Switch, which isn't like a problem that only one person has. Like everyone has problems with the drift. So everyone was moving to... What's that?
The difference is that when most players experience the drift, they either get a new controller or they take a small break. You had this thing where you just wanted to play through it, and then you would get rocked because Pokemon Unite is so critical on the left stick, and it changes what you're aiming at and who you're aiming at. And honestly, until they came out with the targeting wheel, it was a real problem for you. I noticed when we would play in the first year of gameplay.
Oh yeah. I rocked Charizard. Charizard was my day one boy and still is to this day. I have 58% overall success win rate with him out of, I don't know, maybe 400 games or something like that. So it's not like I'm a slouch at all with him, especially after...
Do you play on the rank ladder? Sorry to interrupt.
Not as much. Okay. I mainly get on to do like the smaller stuff. I don't play ranked just because of the fact that sometimes my rank goes down for performances that are not in my control, which is something that I didn't agree with when I played when I came back after like a long break, that people would make terrible choices and then I was forced to feed on that, unfortunately. But it wasn't that big of a deal when you had a squad. Now, the squads in that game only allow you to team up with 3 or 5. You can't walk in with 4. You can't walk in with 2. You have to have a squad of 3 or a squad of 5. There's no in between.
Also, you can't walk in with a squad of 5 in rank.
Yeah, which is dumb.
Well, that's to mitigate exactly what you're talking about, getting a massive advantage because one side can communicate and talk together, and the other side is not communicative because they're all randoms.
Yeah, but if it's ranked and they're a team, they should have team ranked, and then that way...
Well, they do. It's called the regional championships and the national championships and the world championships now.
Which is happening next weekend.
Man, it's gonna be great. Pokemon Unite is a fun game. I think that's kind of the intrinsic problem with MOBAs, though, is you either have a full squad or you don't have the best time. And in single play, it can be the most dynamic between having an amazing time and really wanting to throw the controller against the wall.
I don't get that mad. There's sometimes where I'm like kind of raging, but I don't hate it or I don't break something because of the fact it's like, this game sucks. It's more of a I should have pressed that type of thing.
Certainly. Yeah, just an expression. But we all have watched the YouTube videos of the kid sticking the controller on his bum because he lost his World of Warcraft account.
Still so funny.
Stereotypes are there for a reason.
Yeah. But like, when it comes to mobile games, again, that was supposed to be the game that I was proficient in, and I won't say that I'm not, but I'm definitely not a top ranked player in that game. There's still things that I can do. I know as soon as the scoring items came out, that's what I primarily focused on for Charizard specifically. I don't go outside of that only because of the fact that I think anything else would be kind of weaker. But again, that's just me.
Certainly. You and I both have the perspective that at the end of the day, the game is about buckets. You, I think, just realized recently that they cap at 6, like 6 stacks. So has that changed your mind at all about scoring items in general?
No, because the benefit of HP and the attack differences that you can add to Charizard is still really, really good. I just hate the fact that they stopped it at 6. I get it. Stopping stuff at 6 allows people to not get steamrolled, which is totally fine. But this game is also...
always... For the record, it's always stopped at 6.
Yeah, but we didn't have a visual representation, so I could have, if I would have known it stopped at 6, I would have not have tried to score so much and get that so low of score value. I was like, when I started, I got 1 point and would just score and score and score and score and score and continue scoring until my opponents had a hard time knocking me out. And as a matter of fact, the video that's playing in the back of this now, you'll see footage of me playing Charizard. And I'm not going to add when I say this, but I was fed. Not only was I fed, but I was so fat. Like Charizard was wrecking people by himself in the bottom lane because of the fact that I was able to just sit there and score and nothing could stop me.
Wait, I thought you had the video showing of your up top. Is it the first video, me and the Duke up top?
It's the same video. So the first match was you and him because you were kind of teaching him how to play Venusaur and getting him interested into the build that you were suggesting to him. And then I was down bottom with Charizard. And then we swapped where you played Dodrio and then you went Machamp and then I went Umbreon for the last 2 games.
Okay, so we don't have any footage of him with us with Tyler.
No, we did not get any footage of Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler is really good at MOBA games, and so I showed him the scoring set. For those that are uninitiated, in Pokemon Unite, you have the objective is to score points that you get from Aeos coins through defeating various Pokemon, both NPC and player. There are items in the game that give you additional stats every time you score any amount of points. So a very common strategy is to rush to the opposing goal and score your 4 points in conjunction with an item that gives you a shield that while it's active, you cannot be interrupted scoring. And so often players will opt to use we call them the knee pads for the additional health, the scoring item for offense, and the scoring item for hit points.
Yeah.
Now, Matt and I certainly agree that this game is about buckets. Where we disagree is I think it should be 2 items, with the third item being utility. And the footage that we unfortunately don't have for you is Dragonite with the scoring cookie and the knee pads, along with weakness policy, which grants Dragonite this crazy ability that he becomes stronger as the fight continues. And so the hard numbers for any of you stat nerds out there is at the full 6 stats of either scoring item, you get a bonus of 72 of your offense, either physical attack or special attack. And with the cookie, you get 1,200 hit points. So after a succession of 2 or 3 goals, you either hit like a monster truck or become very hard to stop. It's also become a really popular defender set as well, in addition to the all-rounders. But the weakness policy gives you additional damage output as you take damage. And so if you are fighting for prolonged periods of time, as all-rounder and supporter types are to do, you find yourself growing stronger and stronger. And so where we differ is I think the utility of that third item is critical, and you are all about the buckets and are a pretty proficient scorer. I'm not going to lie.
No, I like to just sneak in and get it when I can. Mike, what did you think about Pokemon Unite when you came back after a long period of time?
Well, I enjoyed it. It's not a game that I'll play on my own. I don't find it enjoyable when I don't have you guys. I think part of that is just playing with you guys. I'm not a big fan in any game of playing with random people. Sorry, out there, random people.
Yeah, you will not be playing with the Duke on a random showdown ladder or Pokemon Unite.
I just
Maybe
feel more.
BCG though.
I've played a couple battles in VGC, but again, to me, VGC, that's not a game that can be played. I can't go in battle. I can't have you guys come into battles with me, and that's what I'm talking about. It's games that are meant to be played or can be played with more than one person doing it, like Unite or like, say, Star Wars The Old Republic, or games that, you're meant to get up with your friends and go in and enjoy the adventure together and the battles together. I'm into that. I'm not really into that's why I don't do a lot of VGC, because I'm not really into to that. I'm not really into solo Unite.
Well, I said TCG, but also you're really
TCGs.
big on the raids with us.
Well, yeah, that's because there's at least the three of us doing it together.
Big time.
That's that's what that's why we got Pokemon. That's why I got Pokemon, is just to play with you guys. Because we used to play Star Wars and we stopped doing that. And Pokemon is something you guys are really into. So in order to spend time with you, because it's the only time you guys will spend time with, is to play these kind of games. So
don't say that, Mike. Come on.
The humble.
you guys don't just come down to hang out. But anyway,
Speaking of, we should definitely run that 7-star today.
Oh, the Rillaboom?
Yeah, why not?
He is legal.
He's easy.
Illegal today.
But so I enjoyed Unite. Like I said, to me that's more of a communal game with my friends, my nephews. It's not a game that you'll catch me in by myself playing, which is probably why I'll never get very high on any kind of ladder or have all these, items and emblems, whatever they're called, because it's just not something that I find myself drawn to outside of the time that we decide we're going to play. So, but I did enjoy it. I like it. It's a fun game. Highly recommended.
Free.
It's just free. I mean,
True.
Can't
True.
be free.
Man.
You literally can't. Like, I love free games, which is what made the game to me so enjoyable, especially when it came out for the Switch first and then the phone support came after and we got the extra, rewards because of that. So that was dope.
Yeah.
Let's talk about emblems. John, what's your take on the emblems in the game?
Well, I have 220 total emblems, and I have 45 gold emblems. So I effectively have enough to make every thinkable kind of spread. And I play quite a bit of Unite because I really like MOBAs, but I really dislike building while you play the game differently every time. I prefer to do the thinking and the building prior to, so that neither player can adjust with items. They can really, and in this game, you can only really adjust with different abilities. So I play 2 different characters that are at mastery level 1, and I float in the ultra to veteran kind of ranked ladder. When I returned, as you asked us to play this game for the 2 weeks, I got on an old set that I ran at the beginning of the game, which was Mac Champ. With movement speed as an emphasis, and honestly I played 3 games immediately on the ranked ladder at the bottom because I was a returning player for almost 6 months, and I went 0 deaths and over 20 kills in all 3 games. I scored lots of points, and I ran initially the knee pads and the weights, and I want to say even the muscle band, but then I quickly found this new set that does not score. It doesn't look to score. It looks to just become mat choke as quickly as possible, and that is with the item that gives you additional attack speed after you attack 3 times, the crown, which recovers health when you hit a basic attack, and what is the third item that I went with?
Just a second.
I think it's the scoring weight, so that I get a bunch of additional hits. I'm sorry, Mike, did you want something?
I was just gonna say I'm gonna step away for a second. I have something I have to do real quick, and I didn't want to interrupt you when you're in the middle of all that good stuff. So
Okay.
No, totally.
I'll be back in just a few seconds or minutes. I don't know.
So I would say the other character that I run is the first character that I was in love with that was delayed at launch, which is Blastoise. I really like Blastoise's kit because the basic attack gives you cooldown reduction. So with Shell Bell, you get a significant amount of cooldown reduction. So I play with 7 blacks and Shell Bell for a total of 9% cooldown, with Mewtwo on the emblem set for an additional 0.5, and then the basic attack giving cooldown, and Blastoise with the scoring set of the knee pads, the cookie, and then Shell Bell recovering health makes him incredibly hard to kill after the 3rd score, and effectively gives option to a player like Mike, who is an attacker and maybe a little bit newer, to just focus on KOing the rental Pokemon, or I'm sorry, the NPC Pokemon, and getting experience and AOS coins while I aggressively attack the goal. Unfortunately, because Mike is so new, we couldn't play ranked together to see if it was actually efficient. The really fun part about the unranked play is that you get literally all types of player, whereas in the ranked ladder, you have to assume everyone is as good as you are, and so you really have to button down. And if you do that, it's pretty rare that you have a hard sell from one of your teammates, but it certainly happens. And it's part of the nature of a teamwork game in which you play not at the highest competitive level with a team, but rather people that don't play very often, or new players, things like that.
And it's something that I would like to add on. I would actually assume that everyone, if you play on ranked, is going to be better than you. Because if you're going to walk in with, well, like for me, right? I don't have 200 plus emblems. I also don't have 45 gold emblems. I think I might have one out of my entire collection. And that is only because of the fact that I don't play as much, or I haven't played as much as you have, and I haven't played on ranked. The last time that I played on ranked, when emblems were just released and they didn't give out Gen 3 stuff yet, they only had Gen 1 emblems. The emblems at the time were really beneficial, but you couldn't get them. What's the word I'm thinking of? There was no dedicated way of getting them. It was always through the energy machine, which
Still the case.
It's still the case, but they split it to where you can either get cosmetic stuff or the emblem stuff. Before, it was mixed in together. So every time that I would put in like the time and effort to put in for emblems, I didn't get an emblem. I got socks that turned into like, oh, here's some tickets that you've already got this item for. Or it was, hey, you can use this item for 7 days if you'd like to. It doesn't expire until...
That rough.
Yeah.
That first year was so rough.
It was RNG, and it's like, okay, unless I was like John and where I wanted to play the ladder or anything else, if I didn't have one level 30 items, which at that time they were still considerably growing. Like you can get tickets in the game that takes an item from level 1 to 30 automatically, and they've been doing no, it's longer. There's a set of 3 that you get permanently, and then there is one that gets it for a week. And they've been steadily releasing the ones that you get permanently if a hot fix had to come in or if the servers went down for whatever reason. I currently have 4 of those tickets still not used.
This is part of the problem, is that you are by nature such a hoarder. And so like I'm sure you have the 3 scoring items for Charizard, but I hazard to guess how many level 30 items you currently have.
I have all 3 scoring items for Charizard done, and I have 2 or 3 more at 25. I just haven't gotten the tickets to finish them off yet. But they do have, or they are getting close. For me, the 30 tickets that you only get once, I hold on to those knowing that I can only get them at certain times. And unless it's permanent, I don't use them at all because they are incredibly rare. Now, to compare this to like Pokemon, right? Just the regular cartridge games, it's like getting your Master Ball. And then you have to be really, really picky of what you're using your Master Ball on. Everyone thinks, oh, it's the legendary that I can catch. Well, we could still catch legendaries and like Pokeballs, Great Balls, Ultra Balls, Friend Balls, Beast Balls, all 9 yards. Does it take a long time? Absolutely. But you only get one. And the only time you get another one is to reset your cartridge. So
well, not anymore, but yes. I will tell you that playing the ranked ladder, even at the lowest level, at the end of the season, gives you enough tickets to get like 20 levels on an item.
Yeah.
So that might be something going forward that you consider doing if you want to make this your MOBA of choice. But I would also argue that those 3 tickets could have been used to make an entirely different Pokemon that you also really liked, that if in the ranked ladder someone chose Charizard and beat you to it, you would have a backup.
Yeah, his it's Garchomp. Does the exact same set. It's so funny. Actually, Garchomp his set changes slightly. He doesn't get the cookie for extra HP. Instead, he gets Scope Lens for crit hit, and then I put on the Muscle Band for attack speed so that he gets a little bit more of a boost. He still keeps the knee pads so that when he does score, it gives him a shield, but he doesn't have to score as often. But I do have a scoring build with Garchomp that does the exact same set as Charizard, and he's still a beast in that mode. But like for other events, I go with a more of a standard. I'm just gonna be as beefy as possible, especially like the PvE event where we fight all the legendaries. Like for every round that they just come and like try to attack Tinkaton or its little form.
Oh man, I don't play any of the player versus environment. I don't play any of the 3-on-3. I am so about all 5 spots on the 5v5 that I never even touch those modes. So please educate us and the people.
So there's a PvE event going on right now. I don't know if it's going to be forever, but they've released a way that you can play against bots. So, which is great. You could also do this when you're training Pokemon that you want to play with and you just want to have a standard match. You can play with bots against bots and they'll do a relatively good job. They've also released modes where it's 3v3, quick matches. They're no longer than like 5 minutes, which is what I like to do. It's something different than going on to the 5v5, and these aren't heavily invested into emblems. And because of that, it makes the gameplay a little bit better, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that you always get to have an enjoyable time. I find it fun, but
Yeah, whenever I get really bored of Unite, when I was playing it, I would just switch characters because they do such an incredible job of translating from the mainline games into the Pokemon Unite. Surf is my favorite example. It's the most common Pokemon move in all of the game of Unite, and it does a very similar animation that we all remember from pretty much every era of the game. It's a real love letter kind of MOBA, and so that's why I'm so interested in it. I gave it up when we started playing competitive Pokemon because I really could only time-wise afford a couple of games, and I have since honestly cut out every other game. So I pretty much just play the mainline series. I wake up and have my coffee and play several games on the ladder and try and get better for both the Master Ribbon Challenge, and now that we're transitioning into the 2024 season, it's honestly beginning much sooner than either one of us thought.
oh my
I
god.
am hard at work at that team, so when you requested that we played Unite, I definitely hadn't played it in a long time, and I don't intend to pick it up anytime soon for long periods. If we do another Unite episode, that'd be great. But I would pretty much only add to my experience that Dodrio is really fun, but Comfy honestly makes some of the best Pokemon in the game unstoppable, and you roll the whole game just by pushing 2 buttons.
Yeah. I've also had watched a couple of live streams when the bigger teams are competing. So like Team YT.
Oh, it's incredible.
They're
Yeah.
they're
playing
good.
a whole different game.
Yeah.
It's unsavory.
It's
how different it is.
It honestly doesn't look like I'm watching Pokemon Unite. It looks like I'm watching like a good League of Legends match, and it's just like, oh my god. And it seems like Delphox, Lapras, and sometimes Urshifu ends up on that ban list that people get to select that other people can't select. And then there's I don't remember their name, but there's someone that is so good with Urshifu that even if he walked into a team by themselves, they would knock out 3 people before they got KO'd.
We definitely have to talk about this ban list thing. It's a new addition to the Unite metagame, and it's honestly incredible. It means Unite is officially, after almost 2 full years, a legit esport. I am blown away by that addition from when we played last, and it makes these games so much more enjoyable to watch at the highest levels. And it makes me honestly very jealous because we had an opportunity for about 2 weeks to have a legitimate uh, 5-man team and start playing in like the qualifiers. But honestly, I think that the combination of drift, because not just you, but multiple players had drift on their Switch controllers and would not replace them,
Yeah.
and then an increased workload in two or three of the guys really killed that momentum.
Yeah, I know that drift for me had made the game almost unplayable at one point, because even though that I have a 58% win record with Charizard and with over 400 games, I believe, and most of that was through the drift. And I would make super big mistakes, not realizing it was because of the drift. And I was just like, God, I can't play this game. I just suck. And then all of a sudden, I go to use his ult. This is before they changed it. I went to go use Charizard's ult, and I ulted, I want to say like a basic Pokemon that was just on the field, or didn't calculate that I was targeting something else. It should have targeted the enemy in front of me, and for some reason my targeter was either up, straight up, or was up to the left. And I'm like, what? Why are you looking over there? Look in front of you. The dude's punching you in the face. It could be like right next to me, behind me, and I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna do this way. And so I started investing into controllers for the Switch, and then I have terrible buying luck because I got 2 controllers from Fred Meyers, and these are not like the pro controllers. These were like the basic controllers, and I know that the old saying is, the quality you get is how much you spend, so you get what you paid for, right?
Certainly.
But these are official channels. Like, wasn't I bought this on Etsy or eBay, and
it's a step up, certainly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, even though this was like a $30 controller, I was expecting,
30?
I was kind of expecting, like, oh, this is it. My PS4 controller broke. I just go to Fred Meyers, buy a new one. It just connects to my PS5, and I just go. This one I plugged in, and I had the drift still on the controller. I haven't even touched it yet. I just took it out.
I'm blown away. I don't recall this part of the story where the controller was $30. That rings so many red flags in my head.
Right? That's
what
I'm like,
guy who's replaced the controller before.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I spent $30 and I had the drift still. I wasn't using my Joy-Cons. I'm like, why am I having either transferred into the Joy-Cons and then just made it so super bad, or my controller was bad, even though that I just took it out of the box, plugged it in, and just boom, started playing with it. No, still didn't work. I'm mad because it's like I spent $30. I have to go back to Fred Meyers, exchange it for a brand new one, get home, and that one still has the drift. I'm like, this sucks. So I got Tony one, and I've been using his this entire time. And I feel bad because the fact that I took a controller. Like, I didn't steal it. I'm borrowing it still, but he says I can have it probably. But I'm still using it, and there's no drift. Still no drift. But I did replace my Joy-Cons. After years of having to deal with it, I finally replaced it because it became apparent that when during our friend tournament, right before I replaced them, I would make moves anticipating a drift. So I'm playing with the assumption that my controller will just like bump me up a little bit every single time. So I had to kind of play around it and make sure that I didn't have that drift during places. And I believe I had the drift in the regional. I'm not sure if that came into account at all, but I might have.
Man, this is just all as a result of penny pinching in such an odd space.
Yeah, well, I still live paycheck to paycheck, which is unfortunate, but I'm hoping that I hope that I get promoted soon from work to be able to make $5 more than what I make now. So that's what I'm hoping.
That buys a nice controller.
Yeah, so like that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping
you got all our wishes, sir.
Thank you.
All our well wishes.
Thank you. I just know that with the hard work that I not only do offline, I want it to also try to reflect what I do online, and which is try to provide a the best means of entertainment for people. And I know this is going to go off topic for just a small portion here, but like,
Well, I think we're just about wrapped up on that topic. Do you have any future thoughts on Unite? To put a bow on this one?
So Unite, especially, I love the game. It's really, really fun. I wish they would not have gone through the emblem method and just kept on with the held item method. The emblem method, to me, is kind of like what League of Legends used to do with their emblems, and then you can upgrade them, and then they have them into like these kits. And then League of Legends swayed away from that because it created unfair advantage in builds. I would much rather they got rid of the emblems, even though they look really, really cool and they do a lot of good things. I wish that they just brought out more held items instead of something like that. Like, it would be really cool to have like a citrus berry in the game as a held item instead of, you know, something like that. Like,
we definitely won't get citrus berry because we have citrus berry on the game.
What's that?
We have citrus berry currently in the game, and so that we won't get it as a held item.
Oh,
but I vibe with that more. I'm on the opposite side where I encourage emblems and held items, and they release held items at a pretty good rate.
They do. They do. I think I have the most recent ones. It was the crown, something else, and I don't remember.
The new attack speed scarf, the crown, the spoon, the hoodie, and then there was one other one since the last time I was playing.
Yeah.
They do a really good job of that. I'm here for all 1008 Pokemon to have an emblem because it creates different builds, just like the mainline games. Like, my Blastoise is different than most everybody else's Blastoise.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is...
So that's amazing.
Yeah. But like I said, like, I just saw other MOBAs go that method and then sway away from it because they realize that, like, one, calculating for something like that is a little hard, and then like trying to make it balanced is another thing. For balance reasons, I think emblems should be removed, but I do like the concept behind them. If there's anything that I wish in the game that they allowed us for emblem, is to give it a little bit more consistency than going through the RNG random ball thing. But I understand that they need to make a little bit more cash by having...
Have you ever used one of the boosters?
I have.
That gives you the X8?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, you can easily get 30 emblems a day.
They only stop at 8.
They stop you at 30. Yeah, no, for the day you're allowed to earn 30 emblems every day.
Oh, yeah.
So like it's basically a barrier to entry is you have to play the game. And you're way more incentivized to play the game on the ranked system than you are any other system.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say we should do another Unite episode in the future in, like, I don't know, maybe 10 episodes, and we should come back and see how many more emblems you have and maybe get another take on when you start being able to do all of the cool builds with different Pokemon and make them behave differently because of the emblems.
Yeah, and I would love to revisit this another time. I know we'll be revisiting Pokemon Go again, I believe, next podcast, because one, it's going to be your birthday weekend.
It is.
And
yes.
That would be around Go Fest, which I have seen a lot of chatter about it. And even now they've been releasing events around Pokemon Go and like getting some other different types of stuff going. Especially like 3 weeks ago, I was in pool and I was playing Pokemon Go, and everyone around me, like half my team actually plays Go, which is really, really funny. So,
oh yeah, it's big. It's big.
Well, not only that, but like they were seeing shiny Pokemon, and there was a legendary that popped out. Like my friend Zaya found Reggie Draco just out in the wild, just hanging out. It's like, it took me 15 Premier Balls and I still didn't catch it. It's like, well, yeah, he's a legendary. He's not going to be like easily caught. But that raises the question: a Premier Ball, 15 of them, and you still didn't catch, even though it's a legendary. It's like, that's so little.
Tell me that you don't play Pokemon Go religiously without telling me you don't play Pokemon Go religiously. 15 is not nearly enough to guarantee a capture of a legend. Pokemon Go is the most frustrating, I think, of any of the Pokemon main games. But we all love it because we can play it on our phone and it encourages us to get active. It's a little bit different for me this year because the Pokemon that is being brought into Pokemon Go is one of the last two Pokemon I need to have a complete living Pokedex. And so over the next 2 weeks, I will be playing my copy of Pokemon Ultra Moon and unlocking the other Pokemon so that during our live podcast in the state's capital here in Oregon, Salem, at the Capitol building, we're going to have a nice little hangout. We're going to do a nice live podcast and talk about Go. The Duke, who is not here yet,
I'm here.
Oh yeah, that is.
I've been here for a little while.
That's for sure your best game of Pokemon is Pokemon
Well,
Go.
Probably, and I don't find it nearly as frustrating as you do to catch the legendaries. I mean, you only get a certain amount of balls, and that all depends on. Well, why are we talking about that right now?
Yeah, that's for the next cast for sure. For the future, I think we should come back in like 10 or 11 episodes and revisit Unite. But for right now, Matt is against the emblems and I am for them. What say you?
I heard. What say me? I say
you like the emblems or not?
I don't. I guess they're okay. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other, to be honest with you, because for one, I don't have very many of them, and I haven't played Unite enough to realize exactly what the benefits are. So that's something, when we're doing this again in 7 or 8, maybe 8 episodes from now or something like that, maybe by then I'll have a better understanding.
It would be pretty great. I know that I will be playing as much as I can, but only because of the fact that my time for at least recording and stuff like that is so what's the word I'm thinking of? When it comes to content creation, I have to be I do have to do a lot of time management, and a lot of the time I don't have a lot of energy after I get done. So
certainly
when it comes to Pokemon Unite, if I wasn't creating videos as often as I am, I would probably have a little bit more time, but I also have to dedicate a lot of my time outside of work. So, or outside of this into work and social events and family gatherings and stuff like that. So it makes it, to me, it makes it a little hard to be able to sit down for 15-20 minutes to play a few games, but I try to do my best. But I would like to try to play a little bit more, just because even though that I don't particularly like the emblem system, it's probably going to be needed to do anything. If you plan on doing anything competitively, get the emblems. You have to put the time in. We're not gonna probably do this competitively. We were going to do a team before emblems came out and it fell through. So if you are going to do it, please take the time out to do all of that. It's going to be really, really beneficial for you to do that, because then you're not going to get one shot by an Absol and be like, why did that happen? Even though
I'll say this to kind of wrap up my Unite talk, and that's, there's nothing that you're doing differently to get emblems than play the game. So as long as you keep playing the game, you're going to be just fine with emblems. Okay, so are we ready to talk about the next topic? We got anything else to say on Unite?
I think I'm good on Unite for now. What about you, Mike? Do you have anything to add? Okay, so let's go ahead and switch gears here to... you want to do some pre-predictions about Worlds next weekend?
It's going to have Flutterman and Urshifu.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's definitely gonna have those two Pokemon for sure. There's gonna be a lot. I know that Worlds is very exciting. It looks like they have days set specifically for each and every single event.
They do.
So like Friday is dedicated to one, Saturday is dedicated to another, so on and so forth. I'll get the dates up there. Do you want to touch on a little bit more about the Worlds tournament?
Worlds every other year in the existence of Pokemon has been in a timeline that you are familiar with what Pokemon interact with which Pokemon negatively and positively, because the community has been playing and trying to solve the puzzle of what is the best team for nearly 3 months at the time of every Worlds before this. This is the very first time that between the last major tournament and Worlds, we have new Pokemon allowed in. The majority of them are incredible. The standout in the early part of the season has been Gudra from the Hisuian region, with its incredible bulk and its ability to not get critically hit by the other standout, which is Urshifu, specifically Water Urshifu. Many Pokemon handle Flutterman incredibly well, but it is still number one amongst number ones because of its versatility. It's always going to be physically frail, but it can be all sorts of different speed tiers and do all sorts of different damage tiers. It's a very versatile and strong Pokemon that is immune to 3 different types. And so, and if you ever run across the rogue Gothitelle in the ladder, it laughs in its face. So Flutterman's going to be there, Urshifu's going to be there. We're going to see all sorts of Hisuian Pokemon like Gudra and Arcanine, but the realness of it is it's going to be hotly volatile, and it's not going to be a thing that everybody has established outside of that very basic parameter. So you're probably going to see the best version of that standard Chien-Pao, Dragonite or Dragapult, Urshifu, Fluttermane, 4-man core, take it home.
I can see that. Well, I will say this, though. A lot of people have been bringing in Dark Urshifu, especially with Season 9. From what I got from another PokeTuber, his name is... I just want to say it correctly. It's Astoria VGC. He says that a lot of people are switching over to Dark Urshifu because he's able to one-shot most, if not all, of Trick Room setters. And that's including Indeedee. Cresselia, it's about 75%, I think is what he said. But he's able to, like, just wipe them off the field, which Trick Room, being a huge setter right now, is something that we can all like try to get behind. I know I still kind of struggle with Trick Room now, but I'm also probably going to be doing something really, really stupid by giving Fluttermane Helping Hand and just being a support speedy type Pokemon instead of being like the offensive Pokemon that just does a lot of damage, because mine's just weird with using Imprison. But definitely we'll be seeing some sort of weather team being in Worlds, some sort of Trick Room team being in Worlds. I don't know if they'll make it to day 2, but it's a really good possibility, especially with Ursaluna running around. I think Perish Song is going to make a huge play in Worlds, because it's not only won one event, but it got top 8 in 2 others. So it's going to be hard.
It's the same guy, basically. It's Mr. Wolf Glick.
Oh, he did it for, was it Florida?
Orlando. Yeah, he won the biggest regional of the year with Perish Song. And then he took 4th and then 4th in another event with Perish Song again. And I think he did okay in nationals, if I recall correctly.
I think he made it to day 2, but he didn't make it to top 8.
For the record, Urshifu ranked number 15 as the dark version, right above Grimmsnarl, and Indeedee right below Ursaluna and Chi-Yu. So a much on the rise Pokemon, but certainly still Water Urshifu with the stranglehold on the third spot as the best Urshifu. I prefer to break Sash, but you're likely gonna do a lot of damage to every Pokemon, even resisting Dark with the Dark Urshifu.
Where are you seeing that?
This is from Pokemon Home app in the
Okay.
Season 9 doubles. They rank Pokemon by usage in live time. Really only the cartridge, but the hard reality is most Americans use Showdown, and most Japanese and Asian players use the ranked ladder because their competitive scene is actually closed team sheet open team sheet best of one. So they are no, I'm sorry, it's actually closed team sheet in the Japan games. So it's a real different experience for them, and that's why I like to play the cartridge only, because I get to see what the Japanese players play. And I also just dislike the habits that you can form by Showdown. But I would say it's the best way for somebody like Mike or Tyler, who don't play a lot of the cartridge game, to easily play Pokemon VGC.
Yeah, obviously. Like, I like Showdown. I don't play it as often. I usually use it to, like, maybe get a team together and maybe see what stats could look like and try out moves that don't work. As a matter of fact, I think it was episode 4. Yes, episode 4. I saw Entity use skill swap on a Pokemon that I didn't think that would actually work. And because it used skill swap, like, here's the context, right? It was Entity, Tornadus versus Qian Pao and someone else, right?
Let me guess, you did the Ice Spinner.
Yes, I used Ice Spinner to take out the Psychic Field. They used Skill Swap, which swaps Sword of Ruin to them and Psychic Surge to me, which is totally fine. It procced Psychic Surge again and brought the field out.
Shout out to Kevin from Pokesports podcast. He does that in big tournaments, so I'm aware of this play. It's amazing.
I didn't know that. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And obviously I lost that match because I wasn't thinking about it, but I did take it out 3 times. Every single time they tried to apply it, I took it out until I couldn't do it anymore. Like, all right. As a matter of fact, episode 4, I'm very humble for. I went 1-4.
Okay.
So it was a really humbling experience, especially going 4-1 the episode before that. So it was really, really
pretty
good.
hot in the group chat. You're like, "What's up, fools? I'm this." And I was like,
No,
dude,
I was
can't wait to
not like
watch."
that, but I just, like, I'm 10-5. What? And I was just so excited because the fact that I'm 11-9 now, but I wasn't.
great.
It is great, but it's like I wasn't expecting me to go 3-2 and then 4-1, and then I was just like going off of that energy the entire time. It was amazing because I wasn't expecting just to, well, I went 3-2 day 1 and day 2. Day 3, I went 4-1 to make it that 10-5. I was like, yes, I like it.
Since we're talking about your channels, Beyond the Badge series, I want to talk about Dragonite.
Okay.
So, what for the listeners? So this is a standalone podcast. What is the set on Dragonite? Is it 252 in the attack, maximum speed? Is it, because I know it's choice band.
Yes.
And I know it's multi-scale.
Yes.
So what does the actual, like, effort value set look like for yours?
So mine's 252 in attack and speed.
Okay. So, but is it Jolly or is it Adamant?
It's Adamant, so it gets to 403.
But in the context of the actual game, like when you're actually playing, it's actually 187 for the listener at home.
Yeah. And then double that because, or 1.5
at
that.
50%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's not actually 187. It's like 275.
281.
Oh, 281.
I have a calculator, listener. You can trust me. 281 is
I
the actual
don't,
number.
which is something that I should really have in my trainer book. I should actually build that so it's physically there.
So
But
we were actually talking. Oh wait, no, I'm very sorry. I'm on Showdown building it right now. That is an incorrect number, listener. The actual raw value is 204, with the band making it a 306, which is the incredible number that Dragonite offers with his extreme speed banded.
yeah,
I was watching the episode in which you got KO'd by the Reggie Drago.
yeah.
And I was definitely thinking that it was unlikely you were Jolly 252, and I was really thinking there was no way you were 252. So this explains pretty heavily why things like that Terra Fairy move would do so much in the multiscale, and why Chin Pao can knock him out even through the multiscale. This would explain quite a bit. I have
Correct.
in the Master Ribbon Challenge breakdown, I have a set that I'd like you to plug in on your screen to put next to yours and
Okay.
see some of the differences, because that you and I have not communicated very well on what we're running individually, but have put it like publicly for the other to look at, and we have come across and played many of the same Pokemon over these first 6 weeks of Regulation D. It's been pretty funny.
It has been. The only reason
Yeah.
why we don't communicate with each other is like when you put your stuff in a Dropbox, and sometimes I don't get the notification that your Dropbox has been updated, but mine is literally on the YouTube channel. So
Oh yeah, for sure. We both. It's very easy for both of us to look into it. And I'm 2 episodes back right now. I'm like halfway through episode 3. At the time of this recording, episode 4 launched last night. So I'm more current than I usually am. But yeah, honestly, it's more about like I like that we are just putting it out there, and then we can address and chop it up on these on like the record, and anybody who might be listening could get the benefit of that discussion.
yeah. And I know that I would love to have a discussion later on, either off program or another time, about Iron Hands. He's been kind of showing up quite a bit for this team completely. I think he's been like MVP like maybe once or twice in the videos so far. Just not only because of the fact that he's got fake out, but he's so bulky, and Drain Punch is just able to literally get him back up to full health.
Number
I've been
7 right now on the rankings actually in usage. Iron Hands is incredible, and we're gonna talk about that in the live cast and off mic.
Okay.
Because I for posterity and to keep this current and standalone, between the last episode and this episode, the season was fully announced for 2024, including the increase in CP requirements and the full breakdown of where all the regionals are and when. And so Portland this year is actually 4 months sooner than it was the prior year. So I have really taken into full gear over the last couple days what I'll be running for maybe Sacramento, and then definitely for Portland.
Yeah.
If they're in regulation, if Regulation E is not crazily different than Regulation
Yeah,
D.
can we talk about that for just a moment here?
All day, dog.
So the season for 2024, right, is so compact. Like you guys at home, I hope that you can find this information. I had a hard time trying to locate it. In the information for 2024 competitive Pokemon is this. It starts late September. We're not even given a month.
September 10th, doggy.
Huh?
September 10th.
September 10th? The first tournament is in the 23rd.
No, it's September 10th is Pittsburgh.
Is it Pittsburgh? I'll have to look that up. So
I'm on Victory Road for those at home. This is where you can look at your season calendars. Very useful resource. But yeah, September 10th. We're going right, hitting the ground running. They canceled the event at Worlds. That would be the first regional, and so the first regional is actually delayed than it usually would be.
So it's not in September?
So typically the first regional is held at the Worlds, and that's the first one of 2024.
Okay, but because that one got
this year,
canceled.
Exactly.
Okay, so that makes sense. So yes.
So we have a bit of a delay, but you and I, as players who played in May, now have to play in January at a minimum.
Yeah. So again, just putting this, I have it up now. So no winner, no format has been determined, but in North America, the regionals is set September 9th and 10th of 2023 starts the new 2024 racket. We're not given a month to process anything that we get from Worlds, and we just automatically have to go right into regionals. We've got one in Peoria, I think that's how you say it. Another one in Sacramento in October. We got 2 of them in October. Why 2? Oh, never mind. We have 3 in October. One's in Toronto, Canada, which we should totally make a trip for. That'd be dope.
No.
Like, they're all over the place. Now, I get it, because those are just the regional tournaments in our region. There's others in Europe and Latin America, and there's going to be like international championships and stuff like that. Now, another thing to consider is that they increase the amount of CP that you need to get in, and so it's instead of it being 300, it's 500, which I agree with, because if you go on to their official website and you see the top 50, even to the top 100 players, there's a lot of people that have 300, and I think they want to make it a little bit more exclusive than it's like, oh, we're just letting anyone in with the door at this point. Because if like you're literally walking in with like, oh, I have this badge that says I have 300 CPU, it's like, oh, we'll let you in. Now 500, that's a considerable number.
So let me jump in on that real quick. The reason why the increase is because we actually get a full season. The last season, because of the end of COVID, we had very little to no Premier challenges for the entire season. And so this is actually a breakdown on what you can attend if you don't go to regional and how much you can earn. You can earn a total of 180 from your Premier challenges. And then there are these things called the mid-season showdowns, in which they are a little bit stronger than Premier challenges and will definitely be in every region multiple times through the year. You can get 6 of them as your qualifiers, and you can earn up to 300. And then there's actually this thing called the Global Challenge, which will be more this time around, and you can earn up to 480 from just the Global Challenges. So even if you don't attend one single regional, you can qualify for Worlds, and in the pretty much the exact same difficulty as you could last season, in which you basically could do it through all Global Challenges and struggling to get your 6 Premier challenges in between May and August.
Yeah.
So while it's a higher number, it is the same quality of competitive play and competitive proficiency.
Well, that, and just in our experiences of not only watching it online but attending, we're looking at hundreds of players in just one physical group. So what I mean by physical group, guys, at home, I'm talking about, like, they have 3 different categories. So there's juniors, seniors, and masters. And juniors are a certain age, and there's not so many players in there. And it's comparative to like juniors. So it's almost like playing on the same playing field at that point. But when you go to masters, the graph, if I had to put it in front of you, would just like skyrocket, break through the roof, and like do this whole cartoon thing where it would hit the moon. You would be like looking at maybe 50 to 20 players in either of those other categories, but masters are hitting like 500s, like consistently.
Yeah, this past year was the best year ever.
And like even when we go to our local tournament, we did have one seniors person who won. I think I don't think he even had to do anything else. And masters, for our local Premier challenge, we still had 20 people.
Oh yeah.
And that was not only 5 rounds, but 20 people just to get how much CP? Like 30?
Yeah, it's your max that you can get is 30, but the real part of it is you want to get 6 finishes in which you get some sort of CP, because then all you can do is increase because it counts the highest 6 finishes.
Yeah.
So if you were to even place 4th, which is 12 CP, the 6 times, that is now 72 points locked in just from Premier challenges that
Yeah.
you can increase by 109 or 108.
Yeah, which a lot of people, myself included, would jump onto that into a comparative sense. Now, when John and I was going after,
JT.
sorry, JT, when JT and I jumped off of the regional and went to our first Premier Challenge, we weren't going to the NAIC. There'd be no way that we could afford it. So that part is kind of like over for us. We could still get some CP in locals, right? But it's not as high.
I could have only finished with 80 because I only got 50 for my regional finish.
Yeah.
And
So
I didn't place in any of the global challenges super well.
neither did
Frankly,
I.
the next season is going to be, it's really, I would like you, me, and the listener to consider the end of this season as our first actual season of competitive Pokemon, and this second one our second, where we actually participate in a lot of in-person events. We play in all of the global challenges and try and do well, play in the mid-season showdown, the premier challenges, and like just become really into it. And then the third year, that will be a year that likely has the legendary Pokemon restricted or unrestricted in the format. And that would be the year I would say we push in our proverbial coins into the center and try and play at like the international championship level and try and build on and get maybe even challenging for a top 8 position in North America for the skipping of day 2. But
Yeah.
this second season, I think you and I should definitely go into it just to try and qualify from our 1, maybe 2 big event,
Yeah.
and just try and do the chip damage from the other events and see how it kind of the chips fall. They still have not announced where Worlds is, so if you're listening to this in the future, sorry we can't talk about it yet.
Yeah. We only have like what's currently available.
Gentlemen, I'd like to step in here now and have us look at the time.
Yeah, it's about time to jet for the evening.
All right, so we got the Master Ribbon Challenge. This is going to be a lot more vague of a description. If you want more conversation and more in depth, including the full sets, the Twitter is at AceTrainerJT or at Surge1285. At I believe it's Team Unconventional Cast. All 3 of those pages post full sets and like a small breakdown of why, as well as an invite to like talk about them and some cool photos. But effectively, what this team is the combination of a hyper offensive trio of Dragonite, Urshifu, and Chien-Pao. Chien-Pao lower and rewrites defenses lower. Chien-Pao auto criticals, and Dragonite has priority. So they're a really good trio. Teaming that trio with a Trick Room duo of Cresselia and Ursaluna. Cresselia is incredibly bulky, and unless you hit it with a super effective move that this one terrestrializes into not having any of those, you aren't going to KO it within 3 hits. And so it sets up Trick Room very well and gives the whole team a second mode. And then Ursaluna is maybe one of the biggest physical attackers in the game right now, between its Guts, Facade, and normal Terra. And then wrapping it all up with a really fun Pokemon, which is Earthworm. Earthworm absorbs ground attacks and recovers health, as well as has this neat move that sets up a substitute that takes damage based on the Pokemon's defenses, but the Pokemon doesn't take damage, and then he switches and gives that Pokemon substitute. And so a really fun interaction is to substitute into Dragonite with his multi-scale, it passes on to the substitute, and then the following turn, switching the other Pokemon back into Earthworm and using Dragonite's Earthquake to recover health and do spread damage. Unlike Matt's Dragonite, who is incredibly powerful and the maximum value you can get out of an attacker, my Dragonite was a clear amulet to avoid the reduction of Intimidates, as well as open up the ability to play Protect in closed team sheet against fake out users, and only 144 points in attack. What this does is it allows you to play Adamant still, but also 100% live a Chen Pao Ice Spinner, even with the Sword of Ruin Adamant 252 investment. So that is really the only thing I want to discuss with at length. The only other thing to note on this team is that Urshifu runs Choice Scarf, which in closed team sheet outspeeds and KOs Fluttermanes unexpectedly and turns the tide on games. But Dragonite is really what I want to talk about with Matt. And we have two different Dragonites. The 132 speed is his value. Mine only gets to 102, which is one step higher than the 4 or aka minimum investment on a Dragonite. And the first question that I have to you, sir, is how often was that speed winning you the game relative to being a more modest, say, 105 with lower investment?
With Dragonite specifically?
Yeah, we're pretty much comparing the Dragonites, just so you could fill this out on your screen. My Dragonite is 252 in HP, 144 in attack, 100 in defense, 12 in speed, and adamant. So it's a very different EV spread than yours. And so it acts very differently. Like mine will definitely lose a one-on-one speed matchup between us, but mine was given the physical bulk to live through literally the most scary attack that a Dragonite could suffer.
Yeah.
But the speed, 132 for the unaware, makes it outspeed even maximum speed before the boost things like Annihilate and Gyarados and I think even Palafin. And so I'm curious how often that wrinkle you felt like won you get the game relative to if you were, let's say, a little bulkier.
So in comparison between my set and your set, I don't think the speed is a comparable answer to that, because I do use Tailwind and I obviously do use Terra Normal Extreme Speed, but I also don't always use that just because the fact of everyone is going to be looking to that. Everyone's going to be using Terra Ghost or have Fluttermane to get that switch in. So
Certainly.
I like to try to lock myself into other moves that can do almost the exact same thing.
Yeah, I feel Ice Spinner and Stomping Tantrum is a really standard call and really strong.
I mean, like, it's the only other option that I have besides maybe teaching it Fire Punch or like another Elemental Punch or maybe Low Kick. But I didn't want to do what everyone else was doing, and I definitely didn't want to do it for like even Outrage, right? Like, I don't really like Outrage, but I have it on there just because it's stronger than Dragon Claw.
For the record, Stomping Tantrum is the number 3 by a mile of the Dragonite views. It's very standard and very good. And the reason for that is if you're put to sleep with Among Us, it triggers.
Fails. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get the 150 the second you wake up.
Yeah. So it, like, I get it, like it works and stuff like that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, because like just in my speed tier alone, I know that I can outspeed a lot of Pokemon in Tailwind. Am I able to do that everywhere else? I don't think so. I know that I lost the speed tier to Regidraco, and I thought that like maybe this is like the speed tie, or maybe he is Jolly.
Oh, for sure that one's Jolly, because the set is all you want to do is attack first and hit really hard.
Hey,
so it's
what I do.
252 Jolly Scarf for sure.
Yeah,
maybe,
but he didn't.
Scarf, then.
It wasn't Scarf because he did use a move after that. But
I saw that. He's that Draco meter on you.
Yeah, so it wasn't Scarfed at all. I think it was just either a speed tie that he won, or he is Jolly and just got that extra bit of speed. They both meet the speed tier of 80, so it could literally be in that. And
It has to be either a tie or the Jolly nature.
yeah. And
But the Jolly makes more sense on his set rather than
well,
Dragonite's.
it would be timid, not jolly.
Right. I'm sorry. The Dragonite, it makes way less sense to go with Jolly because you have extreme speed.
Yeah. So like in regards to that, it's fair. Like I'm not upset because he did get knocked out. I'm just a little surprised that one, a Pokemon that is incredibly slow is actually seen play, and I love that. He gets his own move that is tremendous. It's on the same level as Eruption. Like I love that.
Well, it's actually a little stronger because of the ability that was not nerfed, unlike Regieleki.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Here's my proposal, though. The number that you're at is really it's only outspeeding your fellow Dragonite who does not go the max speed. So if you're talking about the speed tier that outpaces those 3 Pokemon I outlined, you actually have 56 more effort value points that you could allot to your bulk. And that's more what I'm asking you about is, do you feel like that additional 56 was better spent in the speed, or do you feel like it would be better spent in your bulk moving forward?
Probably more bulk, just because the fact that when I can just use extreme speed to outspeed a lot of things. The one thing that I did take for granted and something that I totally misunderstood was the whole use of multi-scale. I didn't realize that it's 50%. I thought it just automatically did a third. So it's like,
yes.
So that was where my misunderstanding came from. It's like, oh, well, the first thing he's going to get hit by, it's automatically going to get dampened. He only takes a third. So I have to break that before he actually takes full damage. And so when people are able to knock him out just outright, it's like, oof.
Okay. Yeah, the most feared attack obviously being a tie between the Chin Pao, who rewrites your defense, and the Fluttermane or the Iron Bundle, who hits you with the freeze dry.
Yeah,
those are probably the tie for the scariest ones. And going Terra Normal makes a lot of sense. I opted to go Terra Flying specifically because I wanted an ability to KO Urshifu. In a one-on-one setting without the need of Tailwind.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the only reason. Otherwise, I for sure would have gone Terra Normal and gone with a coverage move. But for this current environment, I feel Urshifu was way too used to not have a hard counter for him.
Yeah. But that's going to be it for today's discussion, because we are getting really, really close to time here. So, Mike, why don't you go ahead and take us out with the shill part of you that you're so known for.
Yes. Thank you again for listening, all my peasants. I'm so happy that you could be here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications if you enjoy the content. And please comment. We welcome your comments. Constructive criticism. We love it all. Just don't be rude. Don't be rude to other people in the comments. Don't be rude to us. As far as sponsors, we welcome you all. If you want to pay us, we'll take the money. We'll promote you. I mean, we are such a massive hit right now. And again, if we've made you smile, laugh, giving you information, anything that can help you on your journeys through Pokemon or life, please make sure to like and subscribe. Once again, turn on notifications so that you are notified every time that Matt posts a new video of his Pokemon journey or the podcast. And stay humble, my peasants. Stay humble.
Elegantly said, as always. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you all next time on the Team Unconventional Podcast. Next time we'll be talking about Pokemon Go and having a grand old time.
Follow me on Ace Trainer JT on Twitter for all detailed discussions on the Master Ribbon Challenge.
Yeah, and that information is going to be in the description down below. So until next time, have a good one, and we'll see you then. Peace. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and Poke fans alike. Welcome back to a brand new podcast episode. Shit, I already fucked it up. Sorry. Take two.
Take
Yeah!
crew.
Take two, crew.
Hey, I really appreciate you catching it and wanting to nail the intro though.
Yeah.
Over here, I'm cool with take two crew.
Yeah, I'm
Take
fine
two,
with it.
Hashtag take two, crew. Let's go.
Hashtag.
That needs to be our hashtag.